Well, there are some visuals coming in of Gautam Adani, who is speaking at the Vibrant Gujarat Summit. So we'll keep getting you incremental details in terms of what statements are coming in from India Inc. from Vibrant Gujarat. But let's focus on a couple of stocks now. And the big stock, obviously, is Sun Pharma, which is down for the second session. In fact, that downtick started in the second half of yesterday's trade. And currently, that stock is not seeing any sort of reprieve. It's at a multi-year low. This is after Moneylife opened the whistleblower complaint document to some institutional investors. This took place last afternoon. This whistleblower document alleges that Aditya Medisales was not in fact declared as a related party till FY18, despite the fact that it's been incorporated all the way back since 1990. Debashish Basu, who's the founder of Moneylife, as well as written extensively on Sun Pharma and all of the articles, joins in to discuss this issue. Debashish, hi, thank you very much for joining in and welcome to the show. If you could just start by giving us a summary in terms of the whistleblower documents that you have accessed. What are the key takeaways from it, and have you managed to see the documents in its entire entity?
Well, as you know, as I mentioned in my articles, it's a huge 2-volume document. There are a lot of issues which are raised over there, and I haven't even gone into many of those because those need independent verification, which I am either as an organization or an individual would not be able to do. In fact, I don't think any media organization would be able to do the kind of investigation that is required to establish that, which is why the documents have been submitted to SEBI by the whistleblower quite correctly, hoping that the regulator, with the kind of leads that have been provided in these documents, will start an investigation, will open an investigation, and if there's no wrongdoing, nothing there, then it's fine. If there is wrongdoing, we'll go deep into it. SEBI today has all the powers that an investigative agency would like to have, including quite extensive powers which they got in 2013.
Sure.
Of summoning up any witness, asking for any documents and that sort of stuff. So it's up to SEBI really to prove what has been alleged over there. In my last two pieces, I pointed out the fact that what should worry institutional investors is really the fact that Aditya Medisales, which is getting money from Sun Pharma as a distributor, and that money, which is really money from the publicly listed company, that money is being utilized, is being on lent for a variety of things, which also needs a lot of investigation. But something is very obvious over here, that here is a publicly listed company. Money is going into a company which is controlled by the promoters. The promoters have controlled it for the past 28 years. They're coming forward and telling you last year only, on the 28th year, that yes, it's a related party. So that much is known, and institutional investors have asked a lot of questions in the last conference call they've had.
Sure.
On which also I've written an article saying that they haven't really clarified anything to the investors, which is why the stock wasn't actually bouncing back as it should, given the high quality of operations and the image Sun Pharma has. Okay. But that I'm not interested in the stock part at all. I'm really talking
Mr.
about
Basu,
the document.
Mr. Basu, hi. Good morning, sir. Prashant here. Just a couple of points. The last point that you mentioned about Aditya Medisales, I remember when the first whistleblower complaint had come and then there was a conference call, the management had said that Aditya Medisales was not a related party before FY18 and turned into one in the last financial year.
No, it wasn't expected. It didn't require to be disclosed up till FY18. It's been always a promoter-held company since and was incorporated in 1990s.
But it was not classified as a related company, and hence, so I just wanted to make that point, Mr. Basu. So, just to go back, I mean, so this is the second whistleblower complaint, right? I mean, that you opened up for institutional investors, etc. And could you just tell us? Did you have a lot of people walk in, so look at the document, and I mean, what was...
Yeah, of course. I mean, today also there are about 10-12 people who set up sort of different time slots to come and see them.
Okay. Debashish, let's move beyond Aditya Medisales. what are the other key issues which have been brought up in the document in the capacity that you have seen the documents? I understand that you have your limitations as well, but what are the other issues brought up?
You know, I do not wish to go into that for the simple reason that if I wanted to go into, I would have written about them. They are quite explosive, and they need to be independently verified. So since I did not write about them based on the document, I'm not going to talk about them based on the document, because that really puts me in a highly irresponsible situation. So which is why I went back and said that, which is why right in the beginning I said that a lot of these things are quite explosive, and it is for SEBI to investigate. From my point of view, I clearly see the fact that this whole Aditya Medisales is one of the many things. It's a place from which money has gone out into different companies, promoter companies, other group companies. I'm not at liberty to name them because again, an investigation should prove that before we start making those allegations. But I can very clearly see one thing, that this is really at core is a very, very massive governance issue. It's not an issue of the business. It's not an issue of, expansion, acquisition, FDA clearance, and all of that. That's all irrelevant in this case. The core of the issue is that as you know, you report on this as an investor or as a media person, and all of us are really on the outside. We have really no clue what happens inside a company until something blows up.
Sure.
So our whole we really know so little. So when you look at a company over a period of time, you have to develop an enormous amount of trust in the management.
Sure.
Because you are not at liberty to go inside and see what's.
Fine. I just wanted to get more color in terms of the type of details which are available. If you could share that. For example, we know that there are bank statements, there are office locations which are shared by Aditya Medisales as well as Sun Pharma. What beyond that, if you've probably just skimmed through the report as well? For example, are there maybe email interactions? What more kind of documents are available, though you might not have gone through the content within the documents?
No, I have gone through all of them, except that, as I said, that to sort of mention that publicly would not be responsible, because I haven't checked them. And we do not go out and write and talk about anything unless in a public forum, which obviously is not done unless we have ourselves gone through all of it, and we have a very reasonable reasons to believe that all of that is true. But to answer your question, there are details about a variety of other companies in the group, the money that has gone to these companies, and what these companies in turn have done with that money. So I'll stop at that, and I'm not at liberty to say anything further.
Okay, and they would all be promoter-related companies, I'm assuming. For example, I think Suraksha Realty has been brought up a couple of times.
If you want, a lot of these things are highly technical. And as Prashant says that, well, it was promoter owned but not related party. Now you can get away with technicalities like these, but they, in my book, they are promoter related companies, whether under specific sections of some SEBI and other regulations they can be strictly classified as promoter or not. The whole issue of Ellen Mittal and what is promoter, where he was, and even after he stepped down, he was classified as promoter or not. So those technical issues remain. My whole focus is on only two things. SEBI should look at this, one, and two, there are huge governance issues in Sun Pharma, which I was very shocked and surprised to find.
Mr. Basu, just one last point. What was the sort of motivation behind opening it up for institutional investors? Because you said that most people are on the outside and they are not qualified enough to, and it's a huge document in that sense. So,
well, my view is that it is the institutional investors who have this, who look at the stock at the on behalf of investors. Finally, right? They are the ones who write the checks and buy the stock or sell the stock or whatever the case may be. We are all outsiders. We are all reporting, doing our job and moving on. 99% of it is globally known. 99% of analyst recommendations are a buy. They never see any sell. They never see any evil in any company. All right. So I thought that it should really go to people who have some fiduciary responsibility under the law to act in the right manner. So that was the idea. Nothing more, nothing less.
Are you opening it up to maybe the sales side, to the media, to more people to be able to view it? Retail investors maybe?
We'll think about that. We'll think about that.
All right, Mr. Basu, thank you very much for speaking with us. Appreciate you joining in with some of what you can tell us at this stage. Obviously, there's a lot that you cannot, as you said, at this point in time for obvious reasons. But the market seems to be voting with its feet, 10% lower on Sun Pharma at this stage. We have Mr. Jayan Gupta, former executive director at SEBI, also joining us on the phone line. Mr. Gupta, I trust you would have heard some of that conversation with Mr. Basu at Money Life. And your first thoughts and how do you view this entire episode? I mean, this is the second time it's happening in a very short time.
See, first of all, I would agree with Mr. Basu 100% on the issues that he said that SEBI should be investigating and investors should be cautious. The other thing, I'm in a little worse position compared to Mr. Basu because Mr. Basu has seen all the papers and documents, which I have not seen. But I can at the outset very clearly say that in India we have a habit of hiding behind technicalities rather than the issue themselves. So there could be a situation where in very, very strict term, the person could not be related party, but then you are interested party. And if you're interested party, the governance, highest state of governance required, this should be disclosed. What I would say that this first whistleblower complaint came a couple of months back. Now, what has been the role of the board? What the board has done from now, whether the board has asked for any clarification or board has taken any step, that is one. The other issue is this, that every time we zero on to issue, that the buck stops or starts at audit. Because if the auditors have not been playing their role, we will not be seeing an end to all these problems. And I would read John Kingsman's first sentence that John Kingsman has given a report to UK government disbanding Financial Reporting Council and starting a new thing. He writes that quality, accuracy and reliability of corporate reporting governance has audited fundamental to the trust of shareholders. Now that is where the problem is, that today Sun Pharma shareholder or Sun Pharma bankers would not know what is real state of Sun Pharma financial and how much money has been siphoned, if at all. Because again, the issue is, as Devashit says, we do not know the truth. We only know what has been alleged. So it is a very clear-cut case where SEBI needs to get into details and see that if at all any wrongdoing is found, it is punished as soon as possible and as high as possible. That is one. The second is, I would say that today the focus is only on the statutory auditors. But understand the statutory auditors have a very limited role of 2-3 months in a year or maybe 4 months in a year. Whereas internal auditor are 12 months job. Now, ultimately, if there is anything wrong happening in the company, internal auditor must be the first person to know. So a time has come in India where we must focus on internal audit process strongly as we are focusing on the audit.
Sure.
Mr. Gupta, thank you very much for joining us. We're completely short on time. Would have loved to take this conversation forward, and we will, sir. And I hope you'll be back with us to discuss this issue. But I mean, that's a quick word coming in from a corporate governance expert, former regulator in that sense. 0.75% lower on Yes Bank as well. I just want to put out the other one, which is actually recovering from the day's low. I think it got to about 194 or so, and it's spiked up a little bit. Sun, no luck, 10.5% down at this stage.